All right, you game changers and all you fantastic human beings. People that are up to something, or damn it, you're ready to get up to something. This is the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Everett Broshears. Welcome. If it's your first time, sit back, relax, and get ready for some insights that, on my side, the intention is to land in such a way that actually makes a difference, even if it's a subtle difference today. Butterfly effect, right? A little bit of changes right now can make big changes later, and why the hell not? We got a lot of life to live, hopefully, right? Well, none of us know, but let's act like this is the time to take action. Okay, if you're waiting for the right time, guess what? It's right now. This is it. Now, what kind of actions are you going to take? Well, it's going to be dependent upon the resources that you have, how much you can allocate for what you want to accomplish. What I see, and even my own personal experiences with this stuff, is that, yeah, you can have some goals, man. And you're going to need goals for today's conversation. If you don't have them, that's okay. Get a pen and paper out and get ready to write them. Ready to write what's starting to come to mind. So, with that, my own experience of this is that you get fired up about something, and then you're like, hey, man, I've got some stuff I want to work on. And you start working on it, and then something happens, right? And so there's two parts to today's more than two parts. Today's conversation is going to be involving two different things, but I'm only going to mention frustration a little bit. Motivation is going to be the key point today that I'm going to work on. So the two of them work together very well. Frustration comes along when you made attempts to accomplish something and you were not successful. It's going to give you some frustration. That can add to your motivation. It's like a little bit of it's to me fuel. Frustration is a fuel source. A fuel source. Same thing as petrol. If you're in Australia or the UK or wherever else that they refer to gasoline as petrol, or gasoline, according to us Americans and some of the other countries that speak the proper ways. Oh, but either way, point of it is frustration is a fuel source. Now, the exact same effects happen with frustration as with any real fuel source, right? So if you don't have some place to put it, but this stuff is going to ignite, you either pour it all over yourself and you self-immolate, right? You set yourself on fire, which I'm not telling people to do that, by the way. I'm talking about the fact that what frustration does to you. If you do not know how to put it into a vehicle, something to get you from where you currently are to where you want to be, then you will burn yourself up with it because it's just going to stay there. So it's either you convert it into something useful for you or you let it damage you. Simple version of it, okay? Now, frustration lends itself into and supports motivation. You do not need to be frustrated to be motivated, but you do have to have motivation in order to prevent frustration to becoming a problem. Because if you have no motivation, which means no direction, then you're just going to burn yourself up. You're just going to stress out like crazy, and you're going to put yourself through some seriously unnecessary issues. And it's energies nonetheless. It's just you're not directing it in a way that's benefiting you. And it's okay if you've done it, and it's okay if you're going to do it, because look, there's no real right way to do this life necessarily. There's some wrong ways, but there's no real one right way. There's just a lot of ways to do this life. So, what the hell are you going to do with that information? Today, we're going to talk more about motivation. What the heck is motivation? First off, let me give you the definition. It's really simplistic, and I promise you this is just to put the foundation in place so that we can speak from it versus just assuming you know what I'm talking about when I say motivation. The definition is incredibly simplistic. So, basics of it is, and it's not the basics, this is the definition according to, if you look it up on Google, which motivation is the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. That's it. Simple, right? Doesn't really do much. Not really noteworthy. It's not land breaking or it's not earth shattering. There's nothing really to that. But we have a place to start. So now, motivation has problems, and we'll talk about those first. But first, do they say first? Um, why it hasn't made change? Well, motivation comes by way of typically there's a category of something that you have interest in. and you're going to be interested in doing something here. It could be fitness, which is incredibly common. We have a fitness centric society, or I wouldn't say centric. We have fitness centric people that influence us on a regular basis. You don't necessarily understand the entirety of what it takes to lose weight, build muscle, become a better athlete, or more conditioned for the environment in a way that actually makes you more capable of dealing with the environment. You don't understand the entirety of fitness because fitness is holistic, and not to use that from the, Chinese medicine concepts or the alternative lifestyle stuff or health directions, but more of a holistic meaning multiple things coming together that all be supportive of each other. I am a fitness professional. I came from that industry. I still work in that industry, but at a higher level than a personal trainer because I develop trainers and training departments and gyms and all the rest of that stuff. But I'm not advertising my company right now. It's just what I do for a living. So fitness is my area, but I will tell you it's incredibly multifaceted. It's a holistic approach when it comes to it. That's why when you try fitness and you're motivated for fitness to work, there could be some drop-offs because you're not applying everything that's necessary in order to see the return that'll continue to hold you in the motivation state. You're likely to create something else. So, now, with that being said, work is an area for being motivated, relationships, motivation, family, motivations. There's a lot there. All of them actually have multifaceted aspects to them in order to be successful. It's not a one thing kind of thing. Just because it's categorical doesn't mean that's all you need to do. So with fitness, it's multifaceted if you really want to be successful. It's, there's just quite a bit to it. But here's the beautiful thing about it: be motivated to learn about it, be motivated to develop. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. All right. So now, what requires motivation? First off, you cannot have motivation without a goal. Because what the hell are you motivated towards? You have to have a goal. Now, those goals could be something like lose 10 pounds. Now, that it might evolve into, now like David Goggins, right? That guy is incredibly inspiring. At one point in time, he was 300 pounds. He was significantly overweight, and he decided he was just going to take his life into his own hands. And the guy went through some incredible transformations, and now he's a very powerful motivational speaker. I admire the hell out of the guy. I think he does a great job. If you don't know who he is, David Goggins, look him up. He's fantastic. He does have a great physical maturity aspect about him. It's not just physical. He has physical, community. I'd say he dabbles a little bit into the intellect, but not so much. It's not really his thing, but it's you get some of that there. Uh, Purpose, spirituality. So of the 8 areas of maturity, he really clocks in on those. So great guy. I don't know him personally. I'd love to meet him at some point in time. But for now, just from what I know of the guy, he lands in multiple places, but he represents physical very, very, very well. He's got high levels of motivation, so that affects the community. With the way that he does it, he's teaching the community on how to be motivated and create motivation. Great guy. He can be one of those things for you. I use motivational videos as an antidote to the challenges of not being motivated or lacking inspiration or something. I'll take things in order to move me forward. I'm not just going to sit there and be like, I don't feel motivated. I'm going to get active for my goals, and I'm going to use everything that I have at my ability to be more successful at it. So you do require goals in order to have motivation. If you have goals and you're not meeting those goals, frustration can come in, where motivation may be a little lower. Frustration will help boost it back up, because the frustration's like, I'm just tired of this crap. Somebody aggravates you, or you realize you're not where you want to be, or your goal becomes something that you realize is becoming further and further away. You may have a milestone that you set, even if it's not a declaration, but in the back of your mind, you had an idea about where you should be by a specific time. Even if it wasn't fully qualified, you would think within a year I should achieve something, right? Well, then you start coming down to the details after 360 days have gone by, and you go, well, hell, I don't know why I'm not where I should be, but this sucks. So then you start looking for, something else to get you going, but that's frustration shows up, and then you can find more motivation. It's also funny because once you set New Year's resolutions it's not uncommon to get to the point where you got like a week left before you hit the next year. And then you're like, mother, I can't believe I let that go again. Frustration sets in, motivation can kick in. And then you say, you know what, new declaration next year. I'm not a big advocate for that because it becomes a vicious cycle for a lot of people. I would prefer to break those cycles. So if you are one of those people, you better subscribe to this channel, man. I'm telling you, I will help you break that motivational issue. No, just do it. Do it. Stop right now. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get after it, right? All right. So, the more you envision your goals, the more real your motivation becomes, right? So, you envision your goal, right? Because what requires motivation? Well, goals. Okay, well, fantastic. Now that you have a goal, doesn't mean you just sit there and say, I've got a goal. No, it means I got a goal and I want to know what it's like. And you'll catch yourself. If you catch yourself daydreaming about a goal, that goal has a potential to be more real than it did if before when you're like, hey, it'd be nice. Because you're creating a living experience internally. Because daydreaming is fleshing out in some way what it's like to be there, right? What it's like to be fit. Fit's your definition, it's not mine. No, overall, because fit and healthy are kind of, they're really hard to define overall because of the challenges that come with it. I don't want to digress too far to the healthy category because what is health by definition? And is it just simply not having disease present, or if there's a whatever? It's not as well defined. But let's not get too far into that. That would be a video for another time. But as far as fitness, we can qualify that to whatever your idea is. Mine is single digit body fat and about 220, 230. My actual long-term focus and goal is 245, 250, but I'm 5'10", and that is a lot of weight for my body because at 230 I was heavy and I felt, like I could tell that I was heavy. But I also really enjoyed the fact that I felt like I was a walking fucking tank. I'm at 190 now. I'm 40 pounds lighter, damn near. So with that, it's a little bit of a difference here. But getting back to that, and there's reasons for that, which means frustration will fill in if it needs to, but I have strategy, which means that I won't have to be as frustrated, but my motivation can be it's in itself. Frustration comes with a negative connotation. Motivation doesn't require it. So, okay. Now, envisioning your goals will help you make more real motivation associated with it. So if you sit back and daydream, fantastic. There you go. Now you've got something coming out of it, which is beautiful because it is moving you along the process of what goals actually are and how to make them real. Now, I'll tell you right now, if your goal is really meaningful, it's going to kick your ass along the way. It's very likely. I don't know anybody really hasn't got their ass kicked on their pursuit of the goal. But the thing is also, you really don't value things that you don't have to work hard for. It's a really weird thing that we do. When it's given to us, it's harder to be appreciative of it versus working for it. It's a real fascinating thing. But through suffrage comes the success and desires and the fruits of life, right? Because you create more value associated with it. Deeper conversation for another time. But if you really like that, put a comment in the comment section about it. We'll talk more about it in time. But if you want to make that motivation feel real, that's how we do it, baby. You hear that? Fire station's right down the road, and that is a motivated group of individuals out to satisfy whether it's a fire or some other emergency, but they are motivated. But they've got a very real direction to go in, and they have to go help people. So anyway, all right, now I'll stop digressing. It's just if you heard that background noise, that's what it is. All right, so how do we lose motivation? We lose it. We do. All of us have. I guarantee you right now you've lost motivation at times in your life. But why? By what? Most of us just lose motivation, and then it's hard to qualify it until somebody forces you to think about it. Here's the thing, though. You're waiting for somebody else to make you make progress in your goals if that's how it works, right? Which is you forgot about why you got loss of motivation in the first place. I don't know. I went back to my normal life. I went back to, doing the tasks of my day, doing whatever, right? You're blinding yourself to the things that are preventing you from being successful. And you don't do it on purpose. It's just you got other things your priorities that require your attention. Thing is that this stuff is typically it's internal. You're motivated to make change, which is an internal sensation. Your job does not have an internal motivator other than the punishments that come with not doing it and the benefits of doing it well, but somebody else is qualifying that stuff, which means that somebody else has got you on their schedule. If you don't have you on your own schedule, it's kind of hard to continue to make progress in life. And I'm not saying a schedule, wake up at a certain time, but by the way, the more regimented you can be and the more structured you can be, the more successful you will be. Every person you know that's successful right now outside of lottery winners are going to be people that have a discipline that makes them successful. So distractions happen. They happen. Absolutely, man. You're like, hell yeah, I'm motivated, I'm fired up. And then you realize you got a bill coming in that you forgot about, right? Or you may have overestimated your financial ability or whatever. You just get something that happens. Somebody tells you, hey, I'm not really feeling this relationship. You're like, wait, what? Wait, I thought we were good. Distracted again, right? Kid comes home, he's got a bad grade. Well, my kid's future is really important to me. Understandable. Here's the thing that you do with distractions. Well, I'll get to that actually. So let me go through the list of distractions and I'll go to what you do in order to work on overcoming those things. So lack of clarity. Lack of clarity can make you lose motivation because you don't really know what steps to take. So therefore, we typically err to the side of safety, so we don't take the steps, and then therefore we don't see progress. We just try to figure out how to come up with what the next step is instead of throwing ourselves forward, right? Throw your hat over the fence and figure out how you're going to get it is one of the analogies, or it's one of the analogies used in order to get people to do something. Throw your hat over the fence, man. Go get it. Do not let go of that. You have to go get it. Figure it out. So lack of clarity. All right. Little or no structure, including support. Little or no structure, meaning you don't have a structure yourself within you to be successful at that thing. So you get motivated and then things kind of drop down a bit. I don't know how much of that gets picked up, but I could clearly hear the sirens running by. So, all right. So little to no structure. The other is your support system. How are people supportive for you? It is incredibly beneficial to have people be supportive of you. But when you rely on them and they don't know what you're up to, or they don't have the ability to support you, but you assume that they do, that is a very challenging place to be. And that can absolutely take away your motivation because you're relying on somebody else to prop you up, to scaffold you in order to be successful. And it can take away the opportunities for you. Not knowing what success looks or feels like. If you don't know what it looks or feels like, it's really hard to assess whether or not you're even making progress, let alone you don't have the ability to even really qualify what a milestone is in the process of getting to your goals because you can't tell. You don't know. You don't know what it looks like. You don't know what it feels like. And it's not uncommon. Sometimes it may require faith to get you there, but still, you still find it challenging, and you can lose motivation because you don't know what it looks like or what it feels like. And then there's the fear of success. You don't know what success looks like or feels like, but you do know what it's like to fail. And you have the skill sets necessary dealing with failing. And then the other side. You actually are tired of failing. You're always failing. Could very well be because you don't know what success looks like. You're afraid of success, or success scares you. And then failing is the next option, but then you realize that you failed too many times and you're getting tired of it. You're like, well, screw this. I don't want to fail anymore. And then you lose motivation again. It's almost like an immediate weight that gets to the point of sinking your goals, and it sinks your motivation. So these are common things. I'm not saying that's the exclusive list of things that make you lose motivation, but at least gives you enough to frame yourself around it to say, okay, I get it. I can see why I could lose motivation. It's normal. It's natural. People do it all the time. Beautiful thing about it is we can actually do something about it. So as I mentioned earlier, there's an antidote to everything, right? Like with me, whenever I feel like I'm lacking motivation, I'll find out what it's associated with. Am I emotionally just not feeling like I'm loving myself enough? And if that's the case, will certain genres of music or specific songs, will they make me feel better? Listening to a certain person speak Or is there a specific speech that I really like listening to? Is there a book that I prefer to read? Is there a place that I would rather be in or that I like being in that helps center me? Whatever it is, I'm out to create the solution to the problem. I'm not going to live in the problem longer than I have to. And sometimes, because I do this work all the time, the majority of the time, the amount of time that I feel like is required for me to really sit in a space at 99% of the time is until I realize I'm there. And once I realize I'm there, time to go. I don't have more time available for that. My attention, my allowance for it is diminished significantly. So it's not like cutting people out. It's just getting action. I'm not going to sit back and continue to assess something that I've already become well accustomed to. I'm going to do something about it. So if I feel like I'm lacking motivation, I'm going to try to track that down enough. Like I'll be aware of it long enough to go, okay, I can see where it's coming from. That can be an incredibly quick qualifier, by the way. It could be just seconds. All right, I see where it's coming from. And I'm a big fan of writing things down or journaling. Write it down. Got it. There it goes. Okay. Solution. Let's go for it. And then I go and I find out, like what is it right now that is going to be the best method to overcome that lack of motivation. So regular basis thing, but it's also, again, because I do the work all the time. When you recognize it, then you have to ask yourself the question, I am losing motivation right here. I'm frustrated. Should I stay in it longer? No, one of the ways that I used to do it, and it was incredibly helpful because it got me where I'm at now, is I may have sat there and said, you know what, I need to be on it for a little while. And when I say on it, like you're really on it, right? You're upset, you're frustrated, you're on it. You're just right over target, frustrated, and I don't want to get off it. I don't want to lose the frustration. I want to be mad. I want to be upset. That's what it means to be on it. You're upset and you want to be. That's okay. You don't have to make it, you don't need to leave it right away. Sometimes you need to understand the real impact of being upset. You need to sit in it long enough that you have the ability to observe the effect on other people and what it does to you in a bigger picture concept versus the immediate emotional experience of it, which means shit, get me away from it, shit, get me away from it, or destroy everything. But you don't realize the real costs and consequences of it. You just know that could bring some degree of satisfaction to you. Yeah, it's not an evil necessarily to be on it, to be pissed off or to be upset. It's okay to sit in it. If you have to, sit in it, man. Just stay there. Pressure cook it. You'll get the costs. Sometimes you just really need to understand the real costs, and then that'll teach you the lesson so you don't keep going back to it. Because if you don't understand the real costs, guess what? It's an easy place to fall back to because you really aren't getting what it's doing to yourself or other people. It may be the thing that is like going to keep you from ever getting to your goals. But when you sit in it long enough to go, damn, this is robbing me of my future. This is destroying my relationships. This is killing me. This destroys opportunities. Then you can say, yeah, I better do something about this. I really need to put some work on this. Let me put a marker directly on this. I'm not losing this. I'm motivated to work on it now. See what I'm doing here is I'm turning motivation into something that's a powerful tool. So we've got, how do you maintain motivation? Well, first off, let's go through the things that actually make you lose motivation, right? Distractions. One of the best ways to deal with a distraction, acknowledge it. Acknowledge that it's a distraction. If you don't acknowledge it, it has the ability to continue to hijack you. It says, look over here, squirrel, shiny, shaking keys, whatever it might be. The thing that at least makes you feel like, yeah, it's all right, I can be over there. No, I can be distracted. It's easier. It's better to daydream than it is to put the progress and the work in. No, put the work in that creates progress. So things that I do for that is I'll write it down, man. I'll write it down. I'm a huge advocate of that. So what's distracting you? It might be highly validatable. And at the moment when it distracts you, it's going to want to convince you that it's something that's validatable. And it's an absolute valid reason to be distracted. The best way that I've experienced dealing with this, write it down and promise yourself. I'm writing it down and I'm promising myself as soon as I reach the next milestone of my goal or I complete this, then I'll address that. I promise me. I promise me that I'm going to address it. And then you convince yourself you're going to do it. You set a time and you set a date. Now you got something else you can do. Sometimes it's hard to set a time and date. I get it. You may have to give yourself a window of time. And the next month, I will get to this. But then don't just write it down. Put it in something that's going to remind you. Put it on your phone in the calendar, something like that. And then give yourself a reminder 1 week, 1 day, 1 hour, 10 minutes. Give yourself the reminders that annoy you. Because you might need to annoy your future self to get the fuck off of it. Because if you don't, you're not going to make the progress. And you might need to become your own nuisance. Do it. It helps. It can help you easily. And in some, I'd actually experienced that most of the people that I talk to about this, you becoming your own nuisance is actually incredibly effective. Because then you could also look at it and go, man, I really do love me. That's another thing too. Self-love. Love your future self too. Care for that like it's somebody you're in charge of caring for. It's your responsibility. That's the future you is who you're responsible for. That's not an easy one. But it is one that is, remind yourself regularly and you're going to go further. Okay. So now acknowledgement, writing things down, really understanding things. So distract you and promises yourself. Okay, good. Good. All right. Lack of clarity. When it comes to the challenges of lack of clarity or the reasons why you lose motivation because you don't have a lot of clarity, you'll benefit. And this actually will work with little or no structure and little or no structure and not knowing what success looks like or feels like, and then fear of success and fear of failure is all of that actually gets acknowledged and supported by research. Look into it. What does it take to be successful here? What is it like to be successful? What does it feel like to hit specific milestones that help qualify that your effort is adding up? Most of us do not do that. That's one of the reasons why you lose motivation. You don't know what it's supposed to look like, feel like, or be like because you don't know. You just know what it looks like when you're there because somebody else has encouraged you to believe that they're there. And you just qualify it from that place, not the milestones to get there. Well, the less clarity you have, the more likely you are to lose motivation in the process. Basic simplicity, right? So that's easy. So research. Talk to people that you know have been more successful in specific areas. Understand through them what it's like. Research it through looking things up, reading, finding people that are opening up the pathway to see success, like myself. And I'm not saying that I am the person that you need to give everything to when it comes to believe everything that I say so that it works for you. It's just I'm here for insight. I'm here to give you different viewpoints and perspectives so that you can make the decisions and take action to make your life work. Because I can't tell you, there's too many different ways to make life work. I can't tell you the blueprint to it. When it comes to the exact actions to take, I can give you the insights that I've used through for myself as well as my students and other people that I follow and or that follow me, all communication values, everything qualifying what I've experienced in life. And then I bring it to this, which is I'm only interested in giving insights to give you different perspectives so that you can build upon that and make the life that you want. Because if you do that, you will have ownership over it. If you do it for me, it can be a fickle reality. As soon as the first real hardship shows up, you're out because it's just too much. So, all right. Research, learn, constant learning. Beautiful thing. Okay. Now, little to no structure, people to be involved in the process, how to overcome those challenges. First off, when you're dealing with other people, first with lack of structure, knowledge, research, that kind of thing. If it comes down to the resources of another person contributing to that, which will also be in the community maturity aspects of it, it is enrollment. You want to get people to just understand what you're up to. A lot of times, whenever you're really, really clear and your communication is as spot on as you can possibly make it, which, by the way, I encourage you to continue to develop, subscribe to the channel, and I will have videos on communication, effective communication, and enrollment engagement. But that will help you get the other person to say, hey, I've got these resources and I'm willing to support you in the process of becoming successful, because I want to see that I'm helpful for other people. There's a lot of people that are altruistic, right? They want to help other people because it feels good to help other people. It's because we're communal creatures. That's the way that we are. There are benefits and costs to everything, including that. But that is a benefit for the communal creature things. We're group based, and we like to be a part of something because we want to contribute to, not just take from. We like a balance thing. It's actually something that the majority of us actually have built into us, because that creates success for our species. You have outliers, by the way. Don't get stuck on those. That's people with narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic, or Machiavellian tendencies that are higher scale values of qualifying than just having some shared traits with them. Those are outliers. That's actually a very small percentage of the population by comparison to the majority of the population are not those people by any clinical diagnosis. I'm not here to diagnose, by the way. It's not what I do. I'm here to just insight. So the 8 areas of maturity is my thing. It's growth. It's development. So, all right. Fear of success and fear of failure. Well, if you don't know what either one of those are like, fear of failure is that you failed again. It's not, that's an easy one to get a hold of, because you're like, I failed again. I'm tired of this. I don't like failing. I don't like looking bad. I don't like whatever, right? That is associated with not achieving your goal. The other side of it is when was the last time you were successful, but you weren't mature enough to handle that success? Probably not as easy to qualify that, right? Or to get a hold of it. But it is very likely it's happened. It's such a fluke or a rarity, and you didn't necessarily assess it that way. You're just like, shit, I got there and then it all fell apart. That's more common for people than it is to realize that they hit success, but they didn't have the structure and strategy necessary to maintain success. So they're like, I got there and it fell apart. That's more common. The less common is the one that we just don't qualify it. The people that are successful are like, I don't know necessarily how I got there, or I learned later on through hindsight what I did and that reinforced it. So therefore now I have this structural pattern necessary in order to continue to be successful. And they're the ones that they're going to be successful long term. But then the others that get there, which are the more common, is, I don't know, I got there and it just didn't hold it together. It fell apart. That's actually fear of success. You just don't necessarily fully get it. Subconsciously, you're moving away from success models because you don't know what it's like to be there. You don't know what it's like to not worry about your bills. You have spent how much time worrying about your bills? You have skill sets associated with that for surviving. It takes something to adjust to thriving. Another one, again, back to the lottery winners. This is an example that you could wrap your mind around on this, is that the majority, nearly all lottery winners are broke within, I forgot what it is. I think it's like 2.5 or 3 years or something like that. There's a window of time that people that win these big jackpots, these big lotteries, they're broke again. Could be that it's not necessarily a big one. It could be $1 million. It could be $100-something thousand. They get into a bad spot because they're not ready for that money, and they become accustomed to having it, but then they make bad decisions as they did prior that actually kept them poor. Well, they just sink themselves back down, and typically it comes with more debt, and it comes not just debt to creditors, but debt to people that are enrolled in the fact you used to have money, and their expectation, then you want the return on that relationship, and they're like, you don't have money anymore, man. Yeah, I loved you when you had it, but now I got other things to do, man. I can't make that time. Before, I'd bend over backwards to make that time for you. Now, yeah, I'll pass. I'm sorry, I can't. Whatever. That's not uncommon. That is that the failure value that comes in with success is if you're not ready for it, you got to learn how to be ready. The wheel of fortune's always turning. Opportunities will show up. It's how you're developed in order to take action on those opportunities. This stuff happens to you, and then you got to do something with it. If you tell yourself, I was successful before it sucked. It was great to be able to pay my bills, but man, the pressure was great, or people didn't seem like they were sincere. Whatever you believe it's like to be successful, when you realize that's not what it's like, that can be the thing that actually makes you lose motivation about it. Like, yeah, people changed when I was successful. And here's the secret, it's really not that much of a secret. They will. They will change when you hit success. You have to teach them how to be respectful for you. And you need to learn how to be respectful for yourself. And that respect will also be associated with and rooted in your motivation because it's all associated with your self worth. So, secret is your motivation is also associated with your self worth. Yeah. So, it's a bigger piece of the puzzle. All right. Motivation. Our conclusion for this. We all get it. Make sure that you have a goal that you can associate and clearly define. If you can't clearly define it, you got some work right there. Write it down. What's your goal? Make it so defined that it could be a definition in the dictionary. Now, how much do you want that thing, right? If it's nice to have, probably aren't going to get it. If it's really wanted, then yeah, you might get it. If it's needed, then you're more likely. And if you were passionate about it, no matter what, then you're going to get there. You build that in. You work your way through your motivation, and you'll get there. Okay. Conclusion for the day is you will lose motivation along the line. Assess the values of why. Frustration shows up whenever you've tried it more than once. Or the realization that this is not the first time that you've wanted this. Frustration will prop up and support motivation. But you don't have to have frustration for motivation. But it is helpful, and it's a reminder. Use frustration as the thing to look at and go, why was I not successful here the last time I tried? What was it that I didn't know? Or what was it that I gave up on too soon or did not apply properly? And you can manage to increase the timeline of motivation because you've matured the reason for frustration. So, all right. With that, share this conversation with a person in your life that you want to have a meaningful conversation with, somebody that you really want to bring something new to them. If you want to enroll somebody in the changes you're making, it's a good way to do it. Share this video with them. Talk about it. Put together a maturity journal and start writing this stuff down. You'll change your life. Oh, and you will be the one that does it. So that means you get ownership. If you do it my way, it's your ownership. You own it. It's not me. I'm just giving insights. I'm not giving advice. Insights only. My success is found in you. So join the channel. Subscribe to this. Comment in the comment section. Share this with the community about what's going on, how things are coming for you. Inspire others. You're here for that too. Is when you inspire somebody else, you give them a gift that will motivate you. So put a comment in the comment section for that. Oh, remember, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. A lot of us are being encouraged to build a super highway to get there. If you're tired of that and you don't want to see that be the future, we need to be the people that stand in the way. You got to break the stream. You've got to be the one that is the difference. And life will change for you, and it will change for everybody else. The people around you. You will be the person that is potent. You'll be the person that matters, and you'll inspire other people to matter. We'll break this crazy ass view that we have right now that the only way to be successful is to take from others. We don't need that. It's not necessary. We can go much further when we do it as a group, when we do it with other people that have shared interests and shared viewpoints and support. So, again, subscribe to the channel, share this video with them. I'm your host of the show, The Maturity Project. I'm Chad Everett Broshears. Thank you for joining me today. Let's go get up to some stuff, shall we? All right. We got work to do. Let's do it together. All right. See ya.